Hi guys, my name's Paul. Today I'm going to take you through a quick usability review of the Zoom.us site. So this isn't the app that everyone's using to connect with each other. This is the corporate website that teaches you about the app. And if you haven't been on the website before, it's huge. There is so much information on this site. You wouldn't believe it. And I think the team have done a really good job at just organizing all the information and just putting things in the right place. I think there's a lot to like about this desktop site. So we've got a big logo up in the top left-hand side, which normally takes you back to the home page. Big mega menu, really easy to use, big clickable areas, nice imagery, like the imagery. There's plenty of things just in the right place where you'd expect to find them. So I think 90% of people who have come to this site are probably just trying to join a meeting. So we have the link up in the top right, or maybe host a meeting. Big clickable buttons, very easy to click. There's a lot of things to make you feel safe as you're navigating around. I've got a support link. I've got a phone number that sticks with me the whole time. We've got a chat icon in the bottom right-hand corner. So if you need help, it's there. And then there's a few accessibility things that I like as well. For example, there's a little icon here to pause the carousel. You can't see it on this particular one, but that pauses the carousel. Also, if I just refresh this page and click tab, you've got the skip to main content link, which is great. Also, if I scroll down to the bottom, there's actually an accessibility page, which talks about what they're doing to make their products compliant and accessible, and that they're compliant with exceptions to WCAG 2.1 AA, which is great. So there's lots to like about the desktop site. There are a few things that I think could be improved on the desktop site. There's a couple of pages that I think are a bit overwhelming. One of them's the plans and pricing page, and this is important. This page, this is showing off what it is that you're going to buy, and I think there's a few alignment things here that don't help you, read the page and understand it. So the page title is a little bit too far left. All the other pages, everything's kind of aligned to the logo, so this isn't typical page, but that's a little bit misaligned. I've got this link up here that's not quite, doesn't look quite right, and then the small close icon, which I don't think is right either. But in order to just digest this page, I've got my 3 links at the top here, then I've got my filters, but then I've got 5 tabs, and then this particular tab has the 4 columns. That one has a flag that's kind of overlapping the title, but then in addition to the 4 options, you've got a 5th option, which is kind of horizontal, whereas the others are vertical. And then, we've got optional add-ons, which are boxes, which are slightly different. So I just find this page a little bit hard to digest. It kind of may trip you up. And then, in addition to, hard to digest pages, there's a couple of usability things that you might come across as well. An example, we've all seen this. We need to just type in our date of birth. It's easy. Click on month. Usually you'd expect to type in text. So if I type in MAR, I'd expect it to highlight March, and then I just hit enter, but nothing happens. I literally have to use my mouse and click on March. Same with day. If I click on day and type in, 6, nothing happens. So you have to actually go and click it. So things like that might trip you up. But in general, I think the desktop site's pretty good. The desktop site and the tablet are very similar. And as I said, there's just so much information in this site that I think they've done a good job at organizing the way this works. Having said that, the mobile site feels very different from the desktop and the tablet, whereas things just generally work on the desktop site. I think there's a few issues with the mobile site, so we'll go through a few of them. So one is when you come to the homepage, the carousel doesn't seem to be quite right. I mean, the spacing there, taking your physical event virtual, the spacing just doesn't feel right. It's fine on desktop, but on mobile, it just seems like it's not quite finished. And then, we've got this big button here, which we'll go back to. It's underneath the arrow. So if you're trying to click the arrow, you might hit the button. If you're trying to hit the button, you might hit the arrow. So, that's a little bit tricky, especially if you're actually using the carousel. Then a few other things might catch you out. If I come to the menu and I click on products, the sub-menu text is bigger than the main menu or the first level, whereas usually for kind of a visual hierarchy, you'd want that text to be slightly smaller. And also, there's a couple of quirks. If I click on phone system, it's gone from the navigation if I try and see it again. Now, that's not a problem because I'm on the page. I don't need to go back to it. But it's not because I'm on that page. It's just gone. So if I click on, let's go for video webinars, it's still gone. So I come back and the phone is still gone. I'm not sure where it's gone. So in order to get it back, you'd have to go back to the home page and then click on products again, and then it comes back. So I can actually go to the phone system page. And, you know, when I'm talking about things that might trip you up, you know, if I scroll down to the bottom, suddenly the icons have just gone a little bit out of alignment. And it's only on specific pages that this kind of thing happens. So the other thing that you might find is bouncing around. When you try and scroll up and down a mobile site, you want it to be nice and clean. You don't want it bouncing around left and right. And there's a few times that it does bounce around. One is in the menu. If I click on industries, I can scroll left and right. And I don't want to do that. I just want to scroll up and down or click. I don't want to be able to bounce around. The same thing is on a few other pages. If I come to the about page, then I think halfway down there's like a little map, which is a little bit too wide. So what it means is that the page is too wide. So as I'm scrolling down vertically, it starts to bounce around left or right. And then another final example of that is if I come to our team and I click on Eric, I've got a little light box, but it's too big. So I have to scroll left and right to be able to read the content. So there are some of the things that I think, you know, on the mobile site don't work quite as well as on the desktop site. And then, you know, there's other kind of instances where the position just doesn't seem to be quite correct. If we go back to that phone system screen again, then if we just come down here, we've got a button. Let's just find it. Here we go. I mean, that's a lovely image, but the button's hidden behind the image. On a desktop, it's fine. But when it gets crammed into a mobile screen, the alignment isn't correct. So other things just to point out is that we have a few forms on the site. And, you know, if I come to the feedback form, then I come to a page. There's no page title. The page title is gone, whereas it's there on the desktop. And it takes me, the focus is kind of in the middle of the form, whereas I'd usually expect the focus to be at the top of the form, especially if there's mandatory fields. So if I try and click submit, then it's going to give me error. It's going to give me an error on fields that are above the one I started on. And not all the forms look the same. So this is the form for feedback, whereas if I go to, the footer's changed again, so I don't think that's expected. If I come to the sales page, there's a different form, and that's slightly different. It's styled differently. You know, required information was on the right on the other page. So, you know, you might have to get used to different forms on the same site. So yeah, I think there's a few issues with the mobile site, not necessarily on the desktop site. I think that's pretty good, the desktop and tablet. But on the mobile site, the experience isn't as good as on the desktop. So I think there's a few things that could be cleaned up there. But anyway, I'll send this on to the Zoom team. They gave me permission to look through their site, so thank you for that. And thank you for watching.